All right, welcome everybody to the comic panel. I'm Cody,
I'm Talon.
And I'm Shawenta.
and today we are covering Superman Smashes the Klan, written by Jean Lun Yang and art by Giri Hiru. Does that seem correct?
I don't have his name up.
No real
in front of me.
opinion on that.
Okay.
Could go either way.
And lettered
No.
by
I see what you mean.
Janice Chang, and published, of course, by DC Comics under their young adult imprint.
That makes a lot more sense.
So this story is loosely based on the 1946 The Adventures of Superman radio show, and so it takes place in 1946 and follows the Lees, a Chinese-American family, as well as the Man of Steel. The story starts with Superman facing a Nazi supervillain in a mechanical suit. When the villain is defeated, it is revealed that the power source of the suit is a glowing green rock that weakens Superman. People familiar with Superman will recognize kryptonite. But in this story, this is the first interaction he's ever had with it and doesn't know about his weakness to it. Coming into contact with kryptonite in this story also triggers hallucinations for Superman that last throughout most of the story. Meanwhile, the Lees move from Chinatown to Metropolis, the suburbs of Metropolis, in the wake of World War II after their father starts a new job at the Metropolis Health Department. They face overt and subtle racism as they settle into the community. And the two children, Tommy and Roberta, both join the Unity House with Jimmy Olsen. And yeah, basically, like, there's a lot of like Tommy, kind of self-deprecating, making like remarks about his family, like in referring to them being wontons to his peers. And Roberta like struggles to fit in. And I don't know if I said Roberta is the younger sister. The family is targeted by the local chapter of the Clan of the Fiery Cross, which is a stand-in for the real-life Ku Klux Klan. They burn a cross in their lawn and attempt to firebomb their house. Dr. Lee tries to distance. Basically, like, there's. I'll get to that part later. Tommy and Roberta find themselves increasingly threatened, while new friends like Jimmy Olsen, Lois Lane, and Inspector Henderson try to help them as they are similarly targeted. Superman's own efforts to assist the children are complicated by disturbing visions that prove to be linked to his own self-doubt and his confusion about his own self-identity.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it's a little bit funny. I mean, we'll get into it. Just the fact that did not realize the parallels until towards the end. And I'm like, oh
Really?
that's why Superman's having that struggle.
Oh, that's funny. I felt like I really I like when Lois like first it starts asking him about his origins, like at the very beginning of the story. I was like, oh, I get it.
I mean, throughout the story, Superman doesn't fly, he leaps, and he kind of, runs fast. As they point out towards the end, it's all things humans can do, but a little bit better he's kind of doing. And I was so confused because I was like, doesn't Superman fly?
Yeah.
What's going on? And then, reading about its origins as the radio show kind of helped that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, at the back of the book, there's a what would you call that? It's not an article. It's an afterword, I guess. Yeah, an afterword by Jean Lin Yang, and it's like basically about
I mean, his own experiences.
Yeah, it's called
mixed in with like the history of Superman, and then also the history of Superman as like a sort of icon of that sort against bigotry.
No, I got the sense. I don't know. Do they when they talked about him kind of holding back? Like, I mean, that's only when I got the idea that he's been hiding it.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
I mean, I don't think it's supposed to be obvious at first, but yeah, once they really start to point out that he's holding back, that he's rejecting certain parts of his powers,
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought that was a pretty interesting part of it, just the the parallelism and the rejection of his powers being the reason, because like we kind of said, in his initial history, it was just Superman can leap tall buildings in a single bound. He's faster than a speeding bullet and more powerful than a locomotive, and so those were his powers, and then they only changed just because people wanted to change them. But like actually having this like in-universe reason was really compelling. Yeah. But yeah, so kind of and that also reminds me kind of getting into some of the things that I really enjoyed about this. I really liked him running on telephone lines.
Yeah.
That was really cool that, like, I think now that Superman just flies, it's like, I had no idea, like, even with, like, previous knowledge of Superman and his, golden age, I didn't know that he ever did that. It's a pretty cool thing.
Did we finish the summary?
Oh, I don't know. Not quite, I guess. Basically, yeah, we kind of did a general summary, but, yeah, he, after, like, because issue 1 kind of follows, like, the big event is the cross burning and the fire, or attempted fire bombing. It also involves another kid at the Unity House, Chuck, his uncle is a leader in the clan of the Fiery Cross. And so he takes him, like, after he kind of, like, starts... He has a confrontation with Tommy at the Unity House, and he tells his uncle about this, and that's, like, kind of what spurs the attack on their home. And then, of course... actually, I don't think Superman doesn't come to save the day for that one.
No.
Basically, yeah, the Lees kind of are able to fight them off at first, and then the police come. Yeah.
Yeah, the police guy, he's off duty, so he's with some of his friends. And so they're also, like, African American, and what is it? Like, the Lees almost try to reject them.
Yeah.
Even though they're going to help, they're like, no, you're just going to bring more trouble because, we're not the problem. They're misguided. That, if we show them, like, I think the dad is even at one point, like, if I go out and talk to them, they'll like understand that we're not like they think that we are.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little naive to the level of hate that's being, exhibited. Yeah, and
So I mean, one of the struggles with the kids is, so there's Chuck, and Chuck and Tommy just sort of had like a little kid fight. And Chuck even is like, he doesn't want to escalate this quite. He doesn't have as strong convictions yet because he's a kid. And he's only sort of like feeding off what his mom has said, what his uncle has said. You know, his uncle's a nice guy who brought him and his mom in when his dad died. So like, you don't understand. He's a good guy deep down, he tries to say. And so he intentionally misses when they're supposed to throw like the Molotov cocktail in the house, right?
Right.
What?
And then so later, huh?
He what misses?
He intentionally misses when he's supposed to throw like the firebomb into their house, even though he's a good shot because like baseball stuff. But yeah, like, so the arc they have is like with the kids is Tommy ends up helping save, or not Tommy, God, I keep mixing up Tommy and Chuck's name. Chuck ends up saving Tommy's life by revealing the information about where the clan was going to meet, and Tommy had to escape had fallen into the water, and so Chuck is sort of responsible for his saving. I mean, with Superman's help, of course.
Yeah.
And also the fact that like, so a lot of the thing they have with the clan is like Chuck looks up to Superman. And then also the clan talks about Superman. You know, Superman is this beacon. He's obviously white, and like, so obviously he's the prime example of how great we can be compared to everybody else.
Yeah.
So.
No, for sure. And also I was gonna say that the we kind of skipped over a little bit that the clan attempt to, I guess, probably save face and also still try to convince the Lees to move out of Metropolis, kidnap Tommy, and that's how he gets in the river, in the first place. But yeah, definitely the clan see Superman as like kind of this, especially with the way that he acts, they don't know that he's an alien from space. They're like, oh yes, he is the best that a white man can be, the superior human. It's just, interesting.
We have that understanding that Superman is not a white person, like he's an alien.
Right, yeah.
Like, oh wait, hey, you guys didn't get the memo?
Right.
Turns out neither did he. Or well, I guess he did, but just not how different, I guess.
Yeah. And
I mean, it's that's kind of plays into Superman's whole thing, right? Where he doesn't want to reveal too much, or else he'll, alienate himself from everybody else.
Yeah. It has like, real world kind of implications where like, obviously it's like if you just read the comics, you'll know what's up and like what Superman is all about. He's always been like, for everyone, but still like, there's like the Nietzsche, like Übermensch, which translates to the Superman, and just generally like kind of co-opting Superman symbols for eugenics and racism and stuff like that. It's happened.
In the back of the book, they talked about at some point that Superman's first appearance, he was a villain, and then they ended up revamping that.
Right, yeah. It was,
I don't remember that.
it was like pretty much a completely different character. It was the Superman, and he was like a bald scientist, I think.
Mind control,
yeah, with mind control powers.
Gotcha.
But yeah, then they basically created the character, and they were like, oh yeah, that was a good name.
Not if that was his origin, I would have just been like, yeah. So throughout the course of his history, like they just split apart into two people, and they became Superman and Lex Luthor, and they lost the ability to mind powers. And so there you go.
I am you, Superman. Don't you understand?
Yeah.
That is funny. Yeah.
It's been a lifelong struggle to reunite the two halves.
Are we doing like the evil twin, good twin thing now?
Anyway, though, continuing on with the story, so Superman is able to save Tommy. Tommy breaks his arm. And then trying to think of what other important plot element happens next. The Klan.
Well, doesn't the Daily Planet send out like that reward?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
They send out the reward, or rather publish, if anybody has like information leading to
apprehension, arrest.
Yeah.
Of the Klan, right?
Right. Yeah. Any members. Then there's money.
Because they're like
which of course conflicts with the police, right?
Yeah.
They're like, why are you getting to our business?
Because now they've gone into hiding.
Oh yeah. Metropolis is this comics version of Zootopia. It's like, is everybody like, we don't have hate here. No.
Hey, yeah, that kept coming up, and I love that because that feels like such a, everybody wants to believe that, right? Like, that never happened here. Well, it's like, you better do something if it does.
Yeah. And then, the next thing is like basically Chuck's uncle. He creates a plan to bomb the Unity House.
Which was started by a rabbi, a priest, and something else.
A minister. Yep, there we go.
Wait, are those not the same thing?
Yeah, see, I thought they were, but I'm assuming priest is Catholic and minister is just.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I forget about that.
I do too. Yeah, same mistake. I was like, huh, and then I was like, oh, I get it now.
Yep.
But yeah, so
the Chuck knows about it. He knows about it because he saw his uncle with the like dynamite bomb or whatever, and his uncle implying that don't go to the Unity House. So Chuck goes to the Unity House, and he doesn't want to give up the information about it. I don't know. He still loves his uncle and like doesn't want to rat him out, but he feels nervous enough about the situation. He convinces the kids all to leave and go to the movies.
Trying and almost, I feel like didn't succeed, but did.
Well, he forgot, right, about the adults in the building.
Yep. Yeah.
So
yeah.
They have to race back, and they get with Superman's help. Isn't it Roberta and small child guy, Jimmy?
Jimmy Olsen.
There's Tommy, there's Jimmy, there's too many generic names to me.
I will say Jimmy definitely seems a little bit weird to be as young as he seems like he is. Like,
first scene, I thought he was like the normal, like older kind of college student, right?
Yeah.
And then I didn't realize at the time and then he showed up at the kids' baseball game. I was like, Jimmy, what are you doing?
Yeah, no, he's definitely everybody else's age, and he's like a cub reporter, is what they say. When he's at the Daily Planet.
I mean, they're employing just like middle schoolers.
Yeah. It's different time in the 40s.
Ah, that's
get
true.
him started young.
Yeah.
We love child labor here.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was like kind of, I'm always interested to see kind of that stuff, like also like obviously the child labor is bad, but the a little bit more independence with like him kind of like running the baseball team and stuff too.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
He has his own life, right? Kind
yeah.
of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so isn't Jimmy supposed to sort of be an audience stand-in?
Yeah, he's most known for being Superman's pal. He's
But he's always the age that you kind of need him to be, I guess.
Yeah. I'd say that's, unless he's not the focus, then it's
Yeah, at least in this case, I do think he's an audience stand-in, so I can see
Mm-hmm.
this book definitely being a little bit more geared towards younger.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Sorry. I definitely agree with you. Yeah. I think that he's not always necessarily the audience stand-in because like I think that there's like kind of a ideal for how Jimmy Olsen should act, just like there's an ideal for how Superman should act, and I think that that's how, Roberta, Chuck, and Tommy all like kind of help where it's like, okay, these aren't established DC characters.
It's true. But I feel like Lois Lane and like Superman are both just such strong personalities in some ways
Yeah.
that you need like a neutral middle ground.
Definitely. Yeah. But
Anyway,
I do agree with what you were saying about the age though. Yeah.
so yeah, young Jimmy Olsen and Roberta and Superman go to stop the clan. I keep wanting to say it weird. And they find like the priest, the minister, and the rabbi tied up. And I think Superman sticks the one guy in the tree, right? And then the other guy gets away? Question. No, I think
They're going
he takes him
back.
somewhere else, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure like they just kind of round them up for the police, and they're like, this seemed like kind of too easy. Well, I mean,
It's like two people,
yeah.
and I think they come to the conclusion, where are the rest of them? Probably doing bigger, better stuff. Better. And then of course they make the realization, what would they be doing other than like bothering over here? Oh, the Daily Planet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Also, I want to clarify too. They are actually successful in blowing up a portion of the Unity House.
Isn't that because Superman is he keeps rejecting his powers, specifically like his X-ray one too, and
yeah.
he says he doesn't need it, he doesn't want it at least.
Mm-hmm.
And so because he's unwilling to use it or just kind of having trouble accepting even using it, he can't find the bomb in time, so he has to take everybody out of the building.
Right.
Yeah.
Precisely.
Failure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, he's basically like getting instruction kind of from his alien parents that are like slowly like, these instructions are coming to him.
Yep. That's how you get the floating head. Like this is the precursor to that.
Like the
hologram bodies.
Are you talking about like Superman the movie?
Yeah. So this is the hologram bodies. Yeah. Interesting take on like the Kryptonians in that, because they look much more alien than.
Well, no, they still look humanesque by the end. It's part of Clark's perception, because they are taking on the likeness from the old Pulp magazine cover that he was reading with his friend.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, they don't just. I thought they were like masking themselves to look more human to like.
Yeah.
Help him, but I guess since they show even the flashback of them on their planet.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so he was just projecting onto them.
Yeah,
alien feelings.
Yeah, they represent his feelings of being alien.
Oh my god. Okay, so that makes sense in the beginning where Superman touches or like gets too close to the like green rock kryptonite. And his hand like changes, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, why doesn't anybody notice? because it didn't happen, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and he like goes to wash his face and like looks up in the mirror and he looks like an alien too. Yeah.
Okay.
It's all
Alienating himself.
Yeah.
Shaking my head at that.
But yeah, so he wasn't able to find the bomb, but they do realize that they're probably attacking the Daily Planet. And so they go there, and they have Perry White, the editor of the Daily Planet, Lois Lane, and Inspector Henderson, the police officer, all tied up. And they, before Superman can get there, they kidnap them. Well, I mean, I guess they kind of already kidnapped them, but they
well, at the Daily Planet, like they just.
Well, they cornered everybody.
Yeah.
At the Daily Planet. And then they took those 3 hostage specifically when Superman was coming up there.
Yeah.
So they got away just in time with the 3 hostages. And I think it's Roberta who notices that Lois left a clue on the identity of one of the people in lipstick on the ground.
Yeah.
How did she have time to write that? I'm just, sorry. I guess they're like looking out the window. Superman's coming.
Yeah.
I kept going like, what is wrong with Superman? Why is he walking up the side of that building or whatever? Or like, climbing. So dumb. I was like, how did they have time to like, because it shows them up there, cornering everybody with guns, like the Klansmen are doing that. And Superman's like, okay, I'm here at the Daily Planet. I'm going to get up there. And then like he gets up there and they're gone already. Just like, how long was he climbing for?
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
They had enough time to get down the entire like 38 floors.
No, this is what happened. Superman got there, right? And so he's climbing up the building. They get to the elevator, and the elevator starts going down. He gets to the top. They haven't left the building yet, but because he doesn't use his X-ray, he doesn't know that.
Also, to get in, just like break a window. I don't know. There's no doors. Probably take him a few minutes.
Yeah, I think they put a fire cross on top of the Daily Planet.
Oh yeah, that too.
How do they do that? That's the real question.
Without losing a few people.
Yeah, I just figure like, I don't know, did they have napalm yet? Was that a thing?
I don't know.
But like really perfectly like across.
Yeah, true. It's a little bit suspension of disbelief.
No. What they did is, took off the globe, brought it down to the level, then.
Oh yeah, they had time.
A giant globe at the top of the building.
Had time to write.
See what you do is you take down the Statue of Liberty.
There you go. Yes. And use her as a inscription. Yeah. There you go.
See, okay, they have they have a huge planet on top of their building, right?
Yeah.
I just thought that was where the office was. So I thought Superman was spinning everybody.
Oh no.
I was like, is this how he's defeating them? Like, inside they're getting beat up.
Oh.
Anyway.
Yeah, so the clue that Lois left at the Daily Planet was WJ, which Roberta got was the initials of William Jennings, which is one of the scientists that I guess introduced themselves to the Lees in the beginning of the story.
Yeah, it's one of the guys her dad works with or worked with.
Yeah.
At the health department?
Yeah. Metropolis Health Department. There's
a whole like health department thing that might be going on that Lois was looking into, right?
Yeah.
Where they took back the kryptonite to like study it, and they're also studying the guy who is Atom Man or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. And yeah, I don't know if it gets revealed in this part of the story, but basically, it turns out that the Metropolis Health Department is like completely privately funded, even though it seems like it's a public service. It's like just a business that's, you know, running a lab, and they just sound very official and like, oh yeah, here you can have the kryptonite because you're the government.
So Superman, I mean, before Superman can even save them, right? There's 3 hostages, and the inspector tries to convince them, you know, you don't want anything to do with them, like Lois or the editor guy. Like, you
Harry.
just have beef with me. He's trying to, you know, protect them.
Mhm.
But then they fight.
Yeah.
Superman smashes in.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah. That's right. Yeah, pretty much just, yeah, Superman kind of is able to defeat them and, you know, rescue everybody. And that's like basically kind of where I was like almost expecting the issue to end. Like, I mean, not right there, obviously. Like, that's more of the climax of the story of that issue. But, you know, he's able to round up the Klansmen and bring them to jail. But then it's revealed, well, hardly revealed, but one of the police officers is also a Klansman, and he's all like, oh yeah, I'll get to the leader specifically, I'll get you out of here tonight, you know. And he does.
Like, trying to remember when he was like introduced previously, because I was so sure they had him previously, and they hinted at, you know, him being that way. And I just remembered it was when Roberto is trying to report Tommy missing. And he's like, that kind of stuff doesn't happen around here. What happens is you get handouts, people like you know, minorities.
Yeah.
And then he's like, take your cap back. And so Roberta has to go
to the
find Tommy on her own. Yeah.
I didn't make that connection before. I knew he showed up before, but I didn't catch that. Oh, that's sus, the way you're talking. Because, like, you can tell when William Jennings introduced himself to...
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was obvious.
Yeah.
Okay, but then they did the double whammy, right?
Where both of them were? Yeah.
Yeah, both of them. I mean, of course, they loved that reveal where they're like, it's me, the other named character. But I'm so round and jolly. Okay, so yeah, stuff happens. It sort of seems like it's wrapping up. You know, they defeated them, got them in jail.
Yeah.
But that only does so much. And Chuck's uncle, you know, he's talking to the grand leader, whatever.
Yeah.
Whoever's bigger than him.
The grand poobah.
Something of that sort. Yeah. He's a different colored, not bathrobe, God.
It's just a robe. A normal
It's a robe. That's what it is. Yeah, you know, he also sits in like a taller chair.
Yeah, he has a throne, very
He just has a throne, but it's like a small room, so it's just him in a throne.
Yeah.
His office.
I mean,
so Chuck's uncle talks to him and is like, you know, trying to convince him that they need to fix whatever happened, you know. Sorry about this mistake, you know, we almost went through with the plan. But what comes out is the grand leader is pissed off because this is going to ruin like their donation stuff and like their revenue streams. He's like, this is bad image for our group and we want more people to join. Now we look like cowards and dummies and Superman's against us. And we're going to lose out on money. And he's like, Chuck's uncle is like confused because he's like, wait, you know, what about our main reason for getting this money? Like enforcing our superiority.
Yeah, what about our goals?
He's like, I mean,
ideals.
And it comes out the grand leader of them all is much more interested in money than any ideal like that. He's like, you just believe that still, huh?
Yeah.
You fell for our ad campaign. Well, it also comes out, they both, a bunch of them work for the health department or work in the health department.
Mm-hmm.
And it comes out that a lot of the research there is centered around, well, it's a little bit confusing. It's centered around defeating the main enemy they feel is Superman, someone they can't control due to, like, racial stuff.
Right, yeah. Like, basically, they see him as, obviously more powerful than they are. And so it's like, that's a threat to their feelings of superiority.
And somehow they saw that the Rock weakened Superman. And so they were studying that along with Atom Man.
Yeah.
He had too much time to stalk Superman.
Especially for 1946. It's not like you can have a drone.
Yeah, what were they doing before they got that rock in the health department?
I mean, I can imagine some
Superman studies.
Yeah.
No. What they were doing was, getting criminals and releasing them, and so just like, all right, Superman.
Right. Yeah. Or I mean, I like just
It's an
because
interesting tactic.
Yeah, just because their main goal turns out to be making money and also trying to stop Superman, it's like I can imagine that they were probably also doing stuff like maybe experiments to poor and minorities, like if they existed for that long, that they could do that.
Oh yeah, trying to create their own Superman or something too.
Yeah, any of those things, like it seems pretty possible, likely.
But that's why Roberta's dad quit the health department job, right? And that's what kind of comes out. Roberta discovers through like going through papers is that the health department main goal was Superman's evil. Well, their main, is that their driving force, kind of?
Yeah. I was kind of surprised that, like, basically it also turns out that Dr. Lee was able to steal the kryptonite and it's just in the garage in a lead ball. I was like, wait, you guys aren't, like, keep monitoring that a little bit better? Like, nobody's talking about...
It's one chunk.
I'm like, it's the only chunk you know about.
No, they have the guns, right?
Well, yeah, I guess they're able to, I think they were able to distill some of that from the guy's blood. Maybe, I don't know.
Or, like, they just get kryptonite guns. Their research leads to kryptonite guns.
Yeah, because I mean, I think that the way I understood it, at least, and this is definitely like kind of getting, pedantic about it, but I think that like the kryptonite energizes the guns just like it energized the super suit.
But they're still clearly like using it to just shoot Superman with it.
Yeah, I guess you're right. And eventually he has the kryptonite blade too. So yeah, there has to be more kryptonite. Okay.
I don't know. I just thought it was like the equivalent of like a super soaker gun.
Yeah.
But loaded with kryptonite.
Definitely looks like that,
Yeah, it's pretty much. Not wrong.
So yeah, the actual final showdown ends up being at like the kids' baseball game against Gotham, which is like, was Bruce just gonna be there? That would have been so funny to me.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it, to be honest.
Oh, a Batman cameo.
I could see that.
Yeah.
It's like, oh no, my game.
Alfred having to like get Bruce out of the way. Big dummy, stop watching.
Yeah.
Sir, we
Well,
need
that
to
would make
move.
make Bruce younger than Superman.
Yeah, definitely.
Really?
Okay, so he'd be a sponsor watching from the stands then.
Yeah.
Wait, you're saying you think Superman would be older than Bruce?
No, I'm thinking they're both adults at this point.
Yeah, I'd say that yeah, in most cases, Superman and Batman are supposed to be the same age, or at least close.
We didn't get that cameo though.
No, we did get a
We
different.
didn't get any
We
cameos,
got
right?
a different. Yeah, we did to get one. There was one.
That's not off the top of my head.
In what was it? Issue 3.
The conduit guy.
No, the flashback to the circus has.
Lana.
Well, no, Lana.
True.
I mean, I guess that is a Superman character, but
I guess that's not a cameo. She's just in the story.
Yeah, the cameo is the Flying Graysons. Their circus act. But eventually the son becomes Robin to Batman.
I don't know. I saw someone saying like the Davenport guy or something was the conduit.
Davenport. That
There's some guy
might
who had a
be
last
true.
name Davenport.
Find out now.
Yeah, that's not.
Now we have to know.
Mm-hmm.
Davenport, because that sounds like Kara. Is that her last name? Supergirl.
A little bit. Let's see here. Wealthy real estate developer and socialite who lives in the upper class Crest Hills section of Gotham County. Huh.
Oh wait, no. There's conduit Kenny Braverman.
Kenny Braverman.
I know he was in the story at some point.
I remember Braverman, but how is that a cameo?
He's a character called Conduit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Classmate of Clark Kent. Oh, so okay, that's the young kid who liked the pulp magazines too.
Oh, okay.
Got it. First appeared in The Man of Steel #0 by Dan Jurgens and Louise Simonson. So this is a 90s character. Weird. You'd expect there to be like a old time character. Or at least like Lana, you know. Huh. That is a cameo that I didn't catch because I'd never heard of that character. That's really interesting.
So the conduit being what?
Oh, he's like a villain or something.
For Superman?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just kind of a one-off, you know. It doesn't look like he's super important either.
Okay, so then what's the cameo? I'm lost.
All right, so like basically what the story is kind of saying is that the little kid eventually grows up to be a supervillain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Exciting stuff.
Because so the story with that kid is that was Clark Kent's friend growing up, and until an incident with a couple of bullies, like made Clark's powers manifest, and then he like shot lasers out of his eyes, and the kid was like, "Get away from me, alien!" Or you know,
all of them were upset by that, so he lost his friend too.
Yep.
Unless maybe Kenny Braverman was one of the bullies. I can't quite remember which one was which.
It would be nicer if it was one of the bullies.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
would it?
How epic is the wrong word, but like, whoa, if it was his friend.
Yeah.
Like, ooh.
I mean, that's the sad part, right?
Yeah. I guess sad.
The irony. We could have been friends at some point.
They were friends.
Wow, that's true. Okay. Anyway, the final act.
Yeah.
Let's finish.
I got my satisfaction of that with Smallville.
Okay. Moving on. The final act.
Or the conduit in Smallville?
No, the best friend turned villain.
Okay.
Yep.
So
daily reminder to watch Smallville, everyone.
Yes.
All right.
Cody, go on.
So the final conflict,
baseball game.
The baseball
gets disrupted.
game. Yeah.
Just like in Superman Returns.
Sure.
Chuck's uncle comes in with his super soaker kryptonite gun.
Yeah, he's killed the original head guy.
Yep.
And taken his place, putting on his green robe. and he snatches Roberta, and like kind of takes her up to the center of the baseball diamond, and yeah, basically kind of just like threatens to kill her right there, and like, because everybody there in the audience is supporting the Unity House, which is all about, coming together as a community, despite differences.
Unity.
Yeah. And but Superman, since originally capturing the Clan of the Fiery Cross members, has come to terms with his alien origins and his powers, and so he is flying, he is shooting lasers, and so it is a lot easier to defeat Chuck's uncle, because so far we have not used his name. We don't remember.
It's more important that he's Chuck's uncle, because he tries to get Chuck to even help him, and Chuck's like, no.
Yeah, Chuck actually goes at him with a baseball bat.
He hits him with a bat.
Yeah. And
and right before that, well, not right before that, but before that, there's, Tommy didn't even want to go to the baseball game because he had that fight with Chuck. Remember?
Yeah.
They were like, oh, everything's fine now, but Chuck was still, even though he'd rejected his uncle at that point.
Yeah. No, we're still here.
Yeah.
Oh.
Why can't we hear Shuenta?
Oop.
Okay.
Even though he'd rejected his uncle at that point, right?
Mm-hmm.
He was still like echoing like what his mom was saying.
Yeah.
He said, is it so wrong to want to only be with your own kind?
Right.
And Tommy's like, what?
Yeah. like dude, what?
I mean, if you say that, like, you don't want to be my friend, right? At some point.
Yeah. It is like, yeah, definitely like a very strong like internal conflict, cognitive dissonance, just trying to like be all like, okay, my family did something that was really, really wrong, but like if I'm related,
maybe for the right reasons.
Yeah, like can I save them somehow? But yeah, it's like that's not the way it works.
So in the end, Chuck choosing not to help his uncle and also like fighting against him is him fully, changing, hopefully.
Yeah, coming to terms with that, that realization. Yeah.
And then, I mean, so Roberta's saved, but then Chuck's uncle tries to blow up the baseball field anyway. He's like got a bunch of dynamite strapped to him. And Superman uses cold breath to just break him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that scene where he unveils the chest bomb. That was full anime right there. Manga, sorry.
Well, also, we forgot to mention that the inspector is in the stands, and he was going to leap into action, but the policeman is there, and he's like, oh, the corrupt policeman, by the way, who's part of the Klan. What does he say? Specifically, like, oh, when you don't have your badge, it's so hard to tell you from everybody else, who I hate. Yeah. Superman finally revealing. I mean, some people definitely reject Superman at first.
Yeah.
They're like suddenly on Chuck's uncle's side, where they're like, destroy Superman.
Yeah.
It's like, man, a dude flying? That's alien.
Scary.
Evil.
Yeah, and then like basically Chuck actually has a couple more things up his sleeve, or not Chuck, sorry, Chuck's uncle. While Superman is like freezing the dynamite, he attacks him with a kryptonite blade, which causes him to drop Chuck's uncle and kind of also drop from the sky. And then yeah, basically that kind of leads to him getting his gun back, I'm pretty sure. And it's Roberta who, like, after reading her father's notes, kind of tells Superman that the lead is the thing that can, like, stop the kryptonite. And so she, like, gives him the lead ball and throws it in the barrel of the gun, which is, like, kind of the ultimate end to the confrontation.
USC defense bonds. Each one you buy is a bullet in the barrel of your best guy's gun.
What is that from? Please.
Captain America, First Avenger.
All right. Like,
when he does his USO tour?
Yeah. I know which part it is now. I had to know the reference because I was like, it's obviously a reference.
Yeah.
Anyway. So yeah, and I think after that is just, Superman sits down for an interview with Lois to, basically give the public the details on his origins that, he'd been previously denying, and, like, how it's still a good thing. And Roberta becomes another cub reporter for the Daily Planet and gets a pen with a case, a fancy pen, with a case with her actual initials, because her real first name is not actually Roberta. It is an English sounding name, so that people don't struggle to pronounce her name, and it's not hard on her, basically.
And get
Also,
this,
just so she doesn't stand out.
Yeah.
Her initials. Guess what? Like, if you had to guess, initials are what?
LL.
LL. Do you know how many people?
It feels because I thought she's like, you can have your pen back. By the way, it has your initials on it, Lois. And Lois is like, nah, those are your initials, actually. I was like, what a good coincidence. I don't know. Did Lois just have actually her initials?
I think that she, like, we are supposed to interpret that as,
I
like,
mean, obviously, yes, she's good, she's nice, she's nosy enough that she found out Roberta's actual name.
yeah.
Still, though, what a lucky coincidence.
I'm just like, there are too many characters with the name LL or with the initials LL in Superman lore. That's weird.
I mean, yeah, the only thing is that I would not necessarily say that this is now that Roberta is in Superman lore, so to speak, because it's like at some point, there's going to be somebody else with, like, LL, but it's not like Roberta is, like, super, in Superman mythos. And so really,
yeah, I feel like this is pretty self-contained, right? Like, Roberta's not going to show up again.
No.
Unless...
I doubt it. I seriously doubt it. But yeah, just and if it's not clear, Talon is referring to the other characters: Lex Luthor, Lois Lane, Lana Lang,
Lionel Luthor, but that's more of a smaller thing.
Yeah, nope.
See, I never made that connection.
Yeah, it's a common.
Superman just has a thing for people with double L names.
Yeah, it's
for Lex.
Yeah, and I think that, like, maybe, I don't know, like, it's also like his family is like the House of L.
I didn't even make that connection. Thank you, Cody.
Kal El.
Yeah.
Cal. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
That's his family's last name, basically.
Somebody's having too much fun.
Jaimin? Wow, that was wrong. Simon and Joel Schuster. I said that wrong.
Schuster?
It's not right. Simon.
So yeah, Simon and Jerry.
Jerry Siegel.
Yeah.
Simon Schuster. Jerry Siegel.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the creators
Like,
of
I don't
Superman.
think they're related.
Yeah,
No.
yeah. Like, I was like, that's what you just said is very loaded because I was like, first of all, the names are wrong.
Yeah.
Second of all, they're not related.
So wait, now I want to know why I had Joel in there.
I don't know. I think you just had it wrong.
That's what I'm looking up.
Sounds like something from a movie, Joel Schuster.
That might have been the director of the Christopher Reeves, Joel Schumacher, or no, maybe.
Joe?
Anyway, I know this doesn't matter.
Anyway.
This doesn't matter. You got
Things
me
we liked, right?
Yeah. I really liked the relationship between Roberta and Tommy. Specifically, like when they fight, Tommy is really invested in keeping the friendship of his sister, and that also happens on Roberta's end when he gets kidnapped. You know, she's like, "All right, come, like, can't be that mad at me."
It seems like it is more realistic, I feel, than some like family relationships in other stories.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's very obvious to her when her brother is acting insincere around his friends, like just, you know, trying to get laughs. And she's like, I know how you really are, and it's like upsetting to see you be someone else just for other people's benefit. But then, you know, him trying to make it up to her by being like, you can choose the top or the bottom bunk kind of stuff.
And then she being very nice and say, I'll choose the bottom because he wanted the top. I forget.
Without giving it away.
Yeah.
Still. Oh, I guess I just really want the bottom bunk. He's like, well, if you insist.
Yep.
In general, the entire, well, not just their family, because, like, you know, her dad has that whole thing where he's, like, trying to reject, like, the inspector and, like, the African Americans in the story, because I'm not like them. But then also trying to fit in so hard. I don't know, just like how even the adults, you can see how they're insecure in different ways, like Superman even.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I also like, this kind of ties into what you're saying. Like, you know, the real, all the characters aren't just like complex, but they have like a capacity to like, you can easily feel like sympathy for like everybody basically, you know, in their like, tribulations and mistakes. You know, it's like even, you know, well, not the bad guys so much, but like you also like, they aren't just like evil for evil's sake either, you know. And
yeah, when they're given a chance to talk, they usually have some sort of justification.
yeah.
And like you're saying, the capacity, at times they undermine themselves even when they don't want to. And I think that's pretty realistic. Like, I don't mean to be this way, but you just end up being the way you are. Sometimes not for your own benefit.
Yeah.
I don't know. I usually find Lois Lane's character kind of annoying. I think I liked her in this one more. I don't know, just like where she's like so clearly snooping around. And she's like, you can't answer some questions. He's like, I just caught you in like a government facility looking at our big secret. And you want an interview.
Yeah, that was a great part. Grade A Lois Lane writing. Yeah, I really liked that too.
Or even just, you know, when Superman clearly is not willing to answer questions, she's like, you know, I want the truth, right? Like, I don't care what you want me to think. I want to know what's real.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. That, like, you know, that kind of writing, you know, helps to keep her from like just seeming like, you know, I don't know, like it adds complexity to her, as a real person rather than just like Superman's interested in love with Lois Lane.
Well, you can kind of see that like she's true to herself, and like
Mhm.
I do feel like it's a little bit. There's like I don't want to get into it, but there is the one part where Superman's like Lois thinks he's like looking at some girl instead of listening to her talk about work. Like they're discussing something important, and he's like getting distracted by his hallucinations of his parents, and she thinks he's looking at some woman, just like not listening.
Yeah.
Being disrespectful in general to her time.
Mm-hmm.
And she like walks out, and I can't remember what he's like, where he's like, why would I be looking at her when I could be looking at the most fearless, beautiful, perfect woman ever who's right in front of me? I was like, if I was like the waiter, like standing there, like, what the heck? Such a weird thing to say out loud.
Wait, he did say that out loud?
Yes, he says
I
that.
thought he just thought it.
Yeah, I thought.
Okay.
I thought it was a thought bubble too. I think, but I don't know.
No, I could show you. It's such a weird. That's like one of the only lines where I'm like, what? Who wants to talk to a pretty woman across the shop when the prettiest, smartest, most fearless woman I've ever met is right across the table? Superman says after Lois Lane storms out. I mean, she just leaves. She's like, if you don't want to listen to me, I'm not going to talk.
Gotcha. Actually, reading this to me sounds more like I would have thought he said it to himself, like quietly, not.
He did, but like it's still such a weird thing to me.
Gotcha.
I don't know. I guess it's supposed to show he's like head over heels for her, I guess, right?
I don't know. I'm just like
So dorky.
I think it's. Just,
I guess he is dorky though,
Yeah,
right?
he is. He's real dorky.
I'm just like that's too many.
My
that's too many
queen, come back.
I was such a fool to see or something. I was wrong, and I just can't live without you.
I mean, like we said, the characters, they're being true to themselves, even when it's kind of silly.
Yeah, definitely. Trying to see or think of anything else that was really like stand out for me. Yeah, I think that really just like the character work, like the characters really lead the story in a really positive way, and it's like both being realistic about like real societal problems and also how to like healthily handle those problems, like and I'm talking about like more on a smaller scale, obviously not like throw Superman punches.
I mean, it's a really big cast actually, like for 3 issues, 200 pages, so
yeah.
it's a relatively big cast by most standards, I would say, but like because they're so distinct and for the most part and like have their roles in the story, most of them you don't forget who they are, like even if you don't remember their exact name, I'd say you remember who they are in relation to everyone else. Along that same lines, I like a lot of the foreshadowing they have, or hints of stuff where characters pick up on something and then it pays off later. Like Roberta noticing the boy's red boots, and then recognizing that as one of the people underneath one of the robes that attacks her house. And then it coming out that he wears the red boots because he looks up to Superman. Just like, details into a single, or revelations about a single detail that kind of feel like they plausible and make sense and add depth to the world.
Yeah.
When she pointed out those red boots, I didn't even notice that. I was had to be like, wait, what? Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Well, she's like, who wears boots to a baseball game or on a baseball field? It's so weird. And then she sees them again later.
Yeah. Did you have anything, Talon? Yeah.
Honestly, like I didn't even take time to think about what I liked. I was just like, I'm reading this.
So it just kept you in, though, focused.
Yeah. You say that.
Okay.
It wasn't like there wasn't anything that I just like very much disliked. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess adding to that too, it was I felt like it was well paced. Like basically, just like even though the issues were double sized, I didn't mind. It didn't feel like they were like lengthy. Yeah.
I mean, when I first read this, I don't know why. I just had so much trouble at first because I don't super love when books do these kind of topics because I always expect it to kind of go wrong. Just be handled poorly, be too black and white, or be too much this, too much that. I don't know. Or just be hard to read. Because it's too realistic. And I think, like we said, this found a pretty good balance for what is probably a younger age demographic, while also being true to the fact that this stuff can't always be super cut and dry. Like, is Chuck's mom, pure evil for, saying those things? I mean, in the end, Chuck loves his mom, but also he, learns to recognize the fact that he can't like what she's saying if he also wants to be friends with people he likes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had a lot of trouble at first, like, getting into reading this. But once I got started, the reactions of the characters felt natural and felt like it built on itself in a good way, where, like, the small thing led to a bigger thing, which leads to a bigger thing, and the reactions of all the characters who most of the characters get a chance to, like, react and have that change the story a little bit. Even, like, the reward being offered and causing some of them to go into hiding.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that actually, like, kind of, I think nicely brings me into why I chose this book. Basically, there's, because I would probably feel the same way if I, like, didn't have any kind of outside influence onto, somebody like, or nobody specifically recommended this book to me, but like I saw lots of people talking about it on Twitter, basically, and I also had read things from the writer before, specifically middle grade teen focused stories. And so, like, yeah, it was just like it won multiple awards. I think I have up here. It's it got the 2020 Harvey Award winner, Mike Wiernigo Spirit Award, 2020 Ringo Award, and 2021 Eisner Award. So yeah, like basically like lots of people were talking about it, and so that just like really kind of helped me choose it, because otherwise I probably would have been like, I don't know, like, even like, the Pride specials and the Indigenous Voices specials, I'm kind of like, I don't really, like you said, trust it to go well all the time, but this was like just so well received. I was like, all right, I'm gonna check it out. And yeah, and also the art, it just looked like a lot of fun too.
So, did you read this before recommending for this show? Or
No, I didn't read it before. I just that's just what kind of put it on, or kept it on my radar, rather, I'll say,
Okay.
to pick eventually.
Gotcha.
Leap of faith.
Yeah. But yeah, so was there anything that you guys felt like could have been improved?
No.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely like
But it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's. Oh.
No, go ahead.
Sorry. For what it is, it's yeah, like we were saying, it's obviously slightly targeting younger demographic. I feel like at least I feel like that because of the way some of the violence is shown. And like it's scary. They're burning a cross, they're throwing firebombs at them, or like when Superman gets stabbed, like it's slash, but there's no blood.
Mm-hmm.
It's very kid friendly in some ways.
Yeah.
While tackling hard topics. And yeah, I think it does it in one of the best ways you can. I almost never felt like I kept expecting them to like mess up with Chuck's character. But I don't know, I just like how they did Chuck's character in the end, because even I was like, oh man, they're gonna make him their friend. Ugh, the little racist kid we get to keep around. So I guess in some ways I was kind of like Roberta, where it just does not trust him.
Yeah.
But in the end, I do like how they show that it's hard for him. He likes his uncle and he's around his uncle. His uncle is his father figure in some ways at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And him having to wrestle with that, it felt right.
Yeah. Yep. Totally. Yeah, on a similar note, I was having difficulty coming up with anything that I felt like could be improved in this book. The only thing that, like, I with the caveat that it came from somebody, that I was just describing the book to, but they did, I feel like, brought up a good point that Inspector Henderson does kind of fall into the trope of having an African-American man in a position of authority on a police force fighting racism and discrimination from the inside, which isn't bad or unrealistic even, but it can, feel like giving the police as an institution and state-sponsored violence in general, like, just a pass on racism.
It does feel a little bit like a checkmark kind of thing that people love to do. They're like, people don't trust the police, so what if we make it a minority?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of thing.
Yeah.
Except, at the time that this was happening, that should do the exact opposite. In
But that's the thing also where I was like,
where they'd be like, they wouldn't trust.
I feel like there was laws against this. So, the historical part, I was like, would he be able to hold that position at the time?
Yeah, I mean, it was post World War II, so like,
Was it?
Yeah.
It was like
1946.
I thought it was 43 or something.
Nah, it's specifically post World War II.
No, honestly, I was expecting Inspector Henderson to be Martian Manhunter. John Jones.
No, I would be unhappy with that, actually. I would be.
You're not the only superhero around here, Superman.
Yeah, in fact, that would like so much like defeat like so much of Superman's arc through this, like him being also an alien and like
Superman, I understand what you're going through. I am one too. We're connected.
No.
Happy, I love it.
Anyway, though, yeah. And basically, I was just gonna say that, Henderson is only a side character, so there isn't much room in the book to explore like those themes, and yeah, it's not like unrealistic as we said, So it's pretty like a very minor thing, kind of trying to find a problem, if anything.
Oh, I mean, this kind of made me think of the fact something else I liked more after reading the afterword, I guess, like you were saying. The fact this was, I was like, huh, this is a really interesting modern take on like Superman takes on the Ku Klux Klan kind of thing, storyline. And I didn't realize it was like taking from an actual radio show where Superman like stands up for an Asian American family.
Yeah, I didn't expect that either.
I'm gonna be real. I was like, we were doing stories like that back then.
Right.
People were being nice.
No, it is like I remember, but I did hear about that story before I read this, but like it was probably around the time that it was first coming out, so like October 2019 ish, you know. But yeah, it's like a pretty just incredible story, you know, when you think about it, of like somebody like, you know, in the afterward, they're kind of like, oh, it was like this one guy's idea, but then this guy refutes it and says it was his idea or whatever. But yeah, like,
I mean, everybody wants it to be their idea when it goes right.
yeah, exactly. But like just the idea of, you know, hey, we can like really mess with like these awful people, you know, with this like pretty simple kind of, you know, strategy of like having Superman, one of the most popular characters in America, fighting them, you know, and winning and like kind of making them look stupid. And so yeah, it was just a pretty awesome story. The interesting thing to me about reading that was also that like I feel like when I first heard it though, I heard a lot of embellishments. Like maybe they made a movie and the movie had like some extra like action in there, because I was like, oh, okay, this is just like, you know, it's really cool, like we said, but like I thought that this like the story that I had heard was like also like infiltrating the KKK, and like basically like saying over the airwaves their actual plans, but like, you know, hiding it behind like this false, you know, this other organization kind of thing, but like basically foiling their plans by having an inside plant that was telling them what their plans were going to be.
Okay.
But that, and what I'm saying is that maybe or is probably false because it's not mentioned in the afterword. That might have been part of like a movie that they made about this happening.
Be thinking of like a real life story. So I can think of a few.
Yeah, or maybe I'm mixing stories together. I don't know, but I was like, this is different than how I thought it would. But yeah. Overall, yeah, that was a really cool part about it. Was there anything else before we talked about the art? All right, yeah. I'll just jump in then with it too. Like there was one thing that really impressed me was it's like very dynamic, I'd say. For instance, reading on mobile, we've often talked about like, you know, we read on mobile and splash pages are often not as effective because, you know, it's a page turn. And so you don't get the full image, or you don't realize that it's going to be a full image until you do the page turn. But one, I knew that it was, I always felt like I knew that it was a splash page when I got to the first side of the image. And I didn't actually mind just flipping the page and then turning, you know, my device sideways, for instance, to see the full splash page. Because like the motion was so kinetic. Like the first one is Superman punching the Atom Man, and it just like, you know, it connected perfectly. I felt like in such a smooth transition that it didn't matter that it was a page turn to me. And I felt like that was used multiple times. Just really kinetic splash pages.
Such an easy read in some ways that like I almost didn't notice the art at times. I do think the art was one of the things that had originally kind of put me off. Is that it was really nice, but it was also very similar to the new style Disney's developed, and so it was almost too cutesy. Where I was like, Superman's gonna fight like a super anime style Ku Klux Klan. Like, this is gonna be weird, but it made it work. Like, it's definitely very animation style, which I think works really good for a lot of comics because it's easy to draw over and over again. Characters still remain distinct enough. There's a little bit of same face and same hairstyle between some characters. But I mean, kind of time period hairstyles.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. I'm kind of moving on to something else. I was just gonna say that, or ask you rather. Are you familiar with the Fleischer Studios Superman cartoons from that era, basically like the 40s?
Seen some of them.
Some of them. Okay, yeah, because like that's like. I mean, yeah, you're right that like the art is definitely like more modern because that had like more an attempt towards like realism, but like also I really liked how it kind of combined some of the stylistic elements of that original cartoon with the more like modern animation style, like you're saying.
Are you talking about like the simplicity of that old style? What specifically?
Not the simplicity, more the style, because I mean like some of the style is just like being, accurate to the 1940s, of course, but I guess like I mean, part of it is like the kineticness that I was talking about. Like, one like kind of interesting historical bit is that Fleischer Animation used a process of rotoscoping where they would actually like film real actors and then animate over them.
Pretty good for rotoscoping though. Like some of the rotoscoping we do today is like, ugh. For then it was like really, yeah. I keep thinking of the one where Superman is like, I can't remember. He's like dealing with like the beam or something.
Yeah, he. I think I know the one you're talking about, where he punches the laser back. He just keeps like.
That's so gorgeous. That one.
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I mean, for one thing, also, yeah, they use a lot of the elements of that, like, golden age Superman design, too, with like the black behind the emblem, and yeah, I don't really know how else to explain it though. That like it just feels like that show sometimes. But yeah,
I mean, for me, like in terms of the art, I am not really. I don't like super cartoony. So to me, it definitely was like, I don't like this. But understanding that it is for a younger audience, I'm like, all right, yeah. Like I can't fault it against that,
Yeah, I think.
How many kids they had in it? Yeah, it definitely. I warmed up to it after all. Like I like that style, but for other things usually. I mean, like I was saying, I was almost like, this is gonna feel like such a disconnect of how cutesy it is.
Yeah. No, for sure. Also, I actually I looked at a snippet from a review from the AV Club that was kind of interesting. They noticed that the character design, to them, of course, the reviewer, feels not just thoughtful, but like the antagonists are drawn without many of the classic markers of villainy, making it clear that physical appearance has nothing to do with risks people pose. And I thought that was like really interesting note on the art too.
I think like sometimes it's used for like misdirection, where like one of her dad's colleagues is the bad guy, but like the other guy's even worse.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's some intention in it, but also I do feel like there's very obviously still certain characters are the villains, but the comic makes sure not to stay that way with the way the writing is, where like even some of the parents of Roberta's friends are like, "Oh my God, Superman's an alien! You should kill him!" To like the white supremacists holding a child hostage. And they look like normal, like other characters that showed up already, like other background characters, so they could be anyone. So yeah, but I don't know. They still had some sort of like evil look to the other characters. I guess they didn't do super generic like crooked nose.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I like, and I don't know if the AV Club review was able to get into this this idea, but once I read that, I wondered if the design was partially motivated to not fall into some caricatures that are, it turns out anti-Semitic oftentimes.
Yeah, I mean Disney still does that.
Yeah.
So.
No, lots, even more than Disney. It is very, very common, unfortunately.
Well, I was just thinking about how I was comparing this a lot to the new Disney style.
Yeah.
Especially like Big Hero 6.
Mm.
Has a very similar style.
It's interesting.
Then,
Yeah. Yeah, but I think that's pretty much everything about the art that I had. We already said it's really readable. I think that the art really helped the pacing. Like I liked both the pacing of the story and the art. They worked in tandem really well.
even if you don't like the art, I don't feel like it's too hard to get past it and just read the story itself.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah. So would you guys read more, like if they made like, another kind of social issue in this universe kind of thing? Would you be interested to read that? Same creative team.
Not if it was Superman again, I guess.
Mm.
Not because I didn't like Superman but I just worry that they're going to try to repeat everything too closely and then be like, we did it again. Number 2. But I think this is a really good mix of like historical influence, modern influence, and then trying to tackle the issue in a serious yet reachable way for a younger audience.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, I'd be up for reading more by them.
Gotcha.
Cool.
Yeah, I'd say if they had it more of historical social issues, then I could be down to read that. But if it was more like this is our modern social issues that we're tackling, I'd be like,
Internet's poisoning Batman.
Yeah, or something.
Becoming
like that,
an incel. I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Gosh.
Although that would make a lot more sense to do with Batman.
Accidentally award-winning. Oh God, that'd be so messed up. Let's not get into that.
Yeah.
That's just a new Batman movie. What am I talking about?
No.
Hey! Don't be trashing my Robert Pattinson.
I didn't say I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I want to go out and buy the Hot Wheels for the new Batman movie. That's how much I like it.
That's actually a lot. Wow. Yeah, I'll say that. Yeah, I'd be interested to read more. If it was there. Yeah, like I guess it would be hard for me to imagine doing a more modern story. Honestly, it's like my only kind of like I wouldn't if they had a good idea for it. I'm like I trust them to do it. I just it's hard for me to think of what that would be.
Yeah.
I mean, don't you guys all know that every single issue we have right now has already happened?
Yeah, that's also again like why it seems like easier to use the past, because it's like a lot of the current political issues are things that have already been problems in some capacity. But yeah, and also follow up because I doubt that they will make more issues that take place in the series. Interested in reading more from the writer and artist separately.
Yeah. Again, like, I would not go out of my way to, like, read a story with the artist in this kind of art style. But if more in line with what I like personally, I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's safe to say that this is probably like his main art style.
Okay. Gotcha. Then writer, yes. Artist,
Okay.
Here.
Yeah, I would say for me, I actually, this was, I liked this well enough that I will be more likely to look into both of their works more and try to find it. Like, I know that Yang does more like middle grade stuff, and so that it was entertaining this time, and it's not that it can't be entertaining, but definitely need to piece it out with like some more adult content, so I can't just read it back to back.
Middle grade as in like middle school grade.
Yeah.
Oh,
yes.
okay.
Not
Okay.
not
like,
mid.
I don't know what middle grade means.
But yeah.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I think that I am gonna try to look into both the writer and artist more.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I kind of wonder what I haven't read, because I know I've read American Born Chinese is one that he wrote. And there was another one that was like about video games. I don't remember the title. Yeah. So I have to kind of
Funny
check
that
out.
I just made the connection that which one you're talking about that he wrote, which I have. I didn't buy it. Somebody else did, but I haven't read it. So it's that same thing again where like, I don't know if I want to think about this stuff. But now I'm more likely to read it for sure.
Nice. Cool. Glad. Okay. Well, I think that's all that we have. So thank you for listening to the Comic Panel. I'm Cody.
I'm Talon.
And I'm Shawenta.
And we'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.
Thank you for listening. And if you're watching us on YouTube, be sure to like and subscribe, as it helps us out in the YouTube algorithms and helping us being seen by more and more people. And be sure to hit the bell notification so that you won't miss a single video. And if you're listening to us on podcast format, be sure to rate and review our podcast, as that also helps us out in the algorithms and being seen by more and more people. Thank you, and have a blessed day.